I get this question a whole lot. Is it okay for Christians to cuss? My answer is maybe or sometimes. Let's dive in. Before I get started on explaining my answer, I'm going to talk about the Christians who say no to cussing completely. What is their rationale? Where do they get that from? Well, they get that from verses like Colossians 3 verse 8. These are the words of Paul. But now you must put them all away. Anger, wrath, malice, slander, and obscene talk from your mouth. And Ephesians 4 verse 29. Let no corrupting talk come out of your mouths, but only such as is good for building up as fits the occasion, that it may give grace to those who hear. And other such verses. There are a couple verses in Proverbs and more. Off of these verses, one might conclude that a Christian should never cuss. Like, that's a terrible thing to do. Never do it. And that makes sense. Cuss words, by their nature, are meant to shock, titillate, make a point, wake people up, and emphasize something. It's like a huge exclamation point, right? So some Christians say they should never be used. However, there might be a small problem with that, and this is where my opinion kind of comes in a little bit, and if you disagree, that's okay. Did you know that Paul potentially cusses in the New Testament? Possibly. And some people say he does, that this word that I'm going to explain in a moment is a real actual cuss word, while others don't think so. In Philippians 3 verse 8, I'll read for you the words of Paul. Indeed, I count everything as loss because of the surpassing worth of knowing Christ Jesus my Lord. For his sake, I have suffered the loss of all things and count them as rubbish, in order that I may gain Christ. So there's a word here that Paul uses in Greek for rubbish. This word is skubala. And the word itself means dung, refuse, garbage, etc. So some people think it's a very strong word. Some people think that it's the English equivalent to the S word, which means similar things, as you know. Now, before I go on with the video, I do want to say that not everyone thinks that skubala is a Greek cuss word. I was going online, I was researching this, and some people go back and forth. Some people say, well, maybe it means poop or trash or smaller, less strong words like that. However, I do want to say that if Paul wanted to convey something like poop or just, I guess, something lower, not as strong, he could have done so. There are other words. Skubala is a strong word, so that's why a lot of people think it might be a cuss word. Anyways, off of the verses that I cited before, in Colossians and Ephesians, and then this verse in Philippians, I came up with a standard for Christians to use. And tell me what you think. Maybe this is dumb. I don't know, but I won't know unless you tell me. The standard that I use is the following. Christians should use situation-appropriate language. Christians should use situation-appropriate language. So from that principle, there are two rules. The first is that most situations call for kind and truthful words, right? Cuss words don't fit into this category. They're not kind. They might be truthful, but they're not kind. They're not gentle. And therefore, most of the time, you shouldn't use cuss words. They're too strong. They're not situation appropriate. However, I do believe that there are situations where only cuss words can appropriately describe the situation at hand. And therefore, there are certain situations that are appropriate in these rare instances to use these cuss words. As an extreme example to make a point, imagine a soldier getting lit up by bullets. He's shot multiple times, and as he's writhing around in pain, as he's just, in so much pain, he's saying things like, dang nabbit, darn it, aw shoot. Do you think that those words accurately convey what he's feeling? Like, oh man, I'll get him next time. When he gets to heaven, do you think that, let's say he used a couple cuss words instead, do you think God's gonna hit him over the head and said, while you were bleeding out in agony, you said the S word. How dare you? Watch your profanity. Why would you ever do that? You were supposed to use soft and gentle words. No, I don't think God's going to say that. I think the soldier, the person who got shot in this instance, will be excused for if they let a couple cuss words fly. So that's my extreme example to make a point. Cuss words, if they are ever appropriate, should only be used in the situations where only they can convey the meaning the speaker's trying to communicate. Most of the time, the rest of the English vocabulary will do, and you don't need to use cuss words. Because of the verses I cited before, my standards, I'm going to repeat, this is the standard, the principle that I developed, is the following. Christians should use situation-appropriate language. Well, friends, that's all I have for today. Tell me what you think. Let me know. Am I right? Am I wrong? Does it make sense? Comment below. I'll talk to you guys later.